Starting. Are we live?
We are live.
Oh, cool. Hi. Let's see. All right. Hi, everyone.
I love watching tech founders have to be on live stream.
Yeah, Happy New Year. First time on the live stream on my side. Definitely long overdue. This is John Shea, co-founder, CEO of Taskade. And Happy New Year, everyone, again. And we have here, Jeremy with us. Feel free to intro as well.
Yeah, Jeremy Davis. I'm a big fan of Taskade. I've become a bit of a power user. I've met the team, and they're nice enough to invite me onto the stream to kind of ask questions and go through workflows. I'm a fractional COO, and I do a lot of workflow and optimization. And oftentimes, probably at least twice a day, I hear myself saying, "Oh, I could do that with Taskade." So it's just kind of become my go-to. So happy to ask questions on behalf of everyone out there, and if I can answer some, I'd be happy to do that too. So
yeah, awesome. And I think from just hopping on, I think this time we'll try something a little different and give Narek a break. But we've been doing a lot of releases, updates, but we haven't really kind of talked about kind of the history, the past, and then what's next, in the future. But also get more Q&A from the community, depending on whoever's on the chat, to ask questions around, I guess functionalities, hidden use cases, maybe tips and tricks, and just share more about that. But I guess, from a perspective of Taskade and how it's evolved in the past year, we've really kind of completed and finished the milestones, the core pillars, starting from the Taskade V1, when we really focused around the project management side, collaboration, unified workspace, to now having AI agents that you can train, build, and deploy them, and then connecting those two with the automation piece, right? The orchestration layer that lets you actually create the workflows that connects with your Taskade projects, as well as your agents. And so, it's been a crazy past 2 years. I think the team really went above and beyond. And I think, Jeremy, you were mentioning, before we didn't have stuff maybe to share every week. Now we have too many things. I don't know what to kind of, even go over on the newsletter sometimes.
Yeah, I want to create Taskade content, and by the time I push upload, it's obsolete because y'all move so fast. Like it's a good problem to have. It's one of the things that I like about Taskade probably the most is how responsive Taskade is. I've worked in software for 15 years, and having a place where you can just literally ask questions of the team and a place where you can make feature requests, that's a great sign. Every software company needs to do that. But being able to take that and then constantly improve, shortening that feedback cycle, constantly updating things that need updated because they're listening to their users. That's a great thing. That's why I'm still here. There's a lot of moving parts in AI these days, and a lot of what I would call an LLM wrapper. But Taskade adds so much on top of just the OpenAI API. They add, so I always call it like ChatGPT plus Zapier, because you can do so many things with the automations. It's a remarkable tool.
Yeah, no, thank you. I think it's kind of also going back to how we started Taskade originally, and maybe just a little bit background as well. I grew up in New York, and then we moved to San Francisco after we did Y Combinator in summer 19, and this is right before COVID hit, and we were really pitching this unified workspace, right, that lets you work remotely with folks around the world. But what we realized was that it was really hard to differentiate, right, Taskade as a platform, when even though you're looking out to replace the Slacks with chats, the Zooms with video, the Notions and the Codas, with docs, and the task management, project management side, it was hard to really connect the pieces and say, okay, Taskade is better at doing all of these. So we definitely struggled, during that COVID period. Even though there was an influx of customers and users, it was hard to kind of play catch up. But I think with the pivot, or the natural kind of evolution for Taskade AI, and from the agents and automation layer, it actually changed the way we thought about Taskade. Instead of human real-time collaboration, it became like human AI collaboration. I think Narek was the one that talked about that a while back. But at the same time, when you think about Taskade, it was always cascading tasks, helping you break things down, organization, second brain, and then project management. But the task was always something you had to do yourself, right? You had to write down your own task. You can add a task quickly, you can complete it, you can break it down like a mind map or an outline, but it was still very much manual, right? For the most part. And we just really rethought about the task in Taskade, when that can actually be assigned to an AI agent, or the task can be completed, as part of your automation flow with agent in the loop, or with human and agents, right, in the loop, AI agents in the loop. So all of these things just started coming, I guess, across the past 2 years. But this is where you realize we actually have the perfect system in place and the framework in place. It's just about connecting the dots. And that really was like the aha moment. Okay, we started with Taskade, ideas to action, very manual, but still task. Now task actually means really truly something that can be automated, but also done away using an agent that knows who you are or knows about your business. And I think the future is exciting. I'm talking a lot. I'll let you.
Well, it's fun because it's interesting to hear the thought process and the journey. I found Taskade much later. I found Taskade after all the AI stuff started, right? Like, it's funny. I don't know if I ever told you the way I found Taskade. I was using Google Gemini, and I was asking. I forget what I was asking it, but it cited Taskade's blog, and then I clicked on that, and then I can't, like, same day I canceled Gemini. And I just, because I fell in love with the tool. It's really funny that way. It's like that old meme about like using Internet Explorer to like the only reason you use Internet Explorer is to download Chrome. Like it's like digging its own grave. Gemini kind of did that for me. My Gemini experience is very little, but it's I like that. Why I like Taskade is because you can literally build anything, right? So I use it a lot where I'll create a document. And you can use you can connect like Google Docs to ChatGPT, what I'd call ChatGPT native, and you can connect that. And then if you want to do something, I guess you can probably even read. I think you can even read and write on Google Docs, but it cuts all of those different tools and down into one place. Like I use Make.com a lot, and there's a lot of different scenarios that you could build using OpenAI's API prompt. Right, you create a GPT and you create a certain prompt and run it, but you can do that with Taskade, and you can make unlimited GPTs or AI agents, and you can run them directly in your documents. You can have them post those documents to anywhere, and if you just use ChatGPT, you're very limited on what connections you can make to ChatGPT itself. But I mean, you guys are even getting into the social media game now. Like I've seen like updates for LinkedIn and X recently, and I'm not sure what else is coming or what else there is. But that's what I don't use it for that, but I've seen it when you go to like give tools to an AI agent or triggers for when you're starting an automation. It's really neat what you're able to do. I don't think people realize how many other tools you could get rid of just using Taskade. Like I used to use like Hype Fury for scheduling tweets, right? You can do that in Taskade, and it's way cheaper. You can do so many different. There's a community that I'm in, and they do a lot of startup boosters. They introduce new companies and they're explaining their product. There's one that did like SEO, just like SEO style descriptions for your e-com store. It's like I built their app while they were pitching their app. I built their app in Taskade. It's literally the same thing. It's incredible, the use cases. I think the issue that I run into a lot with new users, whether they're in the Taskade group or like teaching somebody or like a client to use it, is there's too much, right? I don't want to say like it's a bad thing. It can be overwhelming because like, oh, what do I use Taskade for? It's not a simple answer. It's like everything. Like, what do you need to do? And I think the way to look at it is a lot of people look at things backwards. They like, oh, here's a tool, and now I need to figure out how to use it for my business. No. With Taskade, you figure out what you need to do in your business, and then you build the tool for it, right? Like it's that easy. Like people need to, instead of figuring out like, oh, this is a really cool tool, how do I use it? Figure out what you need, and then look at how you could build it with Taskade, because chances are you can do it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's thanks for some of the notes. And I think even talking about the Gemini and finding Taskade through that, one of the things that a lot of customers and that use Taskade, everything from business owners to agencies that are doing marketing content to operation folks in like larger Fortune 1000 companies, I do think they see Taskade as a system, but they also sometimes need some handholding and help. But if you think about how they discover Taskade, a lot of them come through different areas. Some actually come to Taskade because of our V1 functionalities, right? Like mind mapping, task list, task management. But once they come in, it could be a bit overwhelming, but at the same time, the fact that you can just get started with a generator to generate your workflow, generate an agent maybe, right? Depending on your starting point. That is something we want to work on. And that's something we discussed earlier in this newsletter, where we did a teaser on the Taskade AI kits, or bundles, we call it, that you can have one link to deploy your entire workspace and share it with your clients, share it with your audience. That includes your AI agents connected with your projects and your automations, so that it's a lot easier to onboard anyone versus those like pieces, separate. So that is super exciting on my side. Maybe we can, share that later as well.
It's very unique the way you guys adopted AI into your V1, which I was never a part of, which is fun to hear. That, like I said, to hear the transition. Like a lot of tools just add an AI writer to their tool, right? And like Notion has AI. Why does Notion need AI? It's not useful. It's just it saves you a tab, right? Whereas you guys you're not trying to enhance a tool by forcing AI in it. You're using an AI tool, if you will, at least from my point of view. I know that's not the way you guys got to where you are, but you have an AI, you have an LLM, you have a good AI agent building tool that you enhance with other things. Like you can pull straight off a document, create new projects, run it in the project. You can talk to your project, and then you can add lines to it. It's ridiculously intuitive once you get to know it. I know a lot of people have struggles in the beginning, and I'd love to help and answer any of those. But it's a very unique experience based on all the other type of AI tools that I've used. That it's like why is Perplexity a bigger name than Taskade? You can do so much more with Taskade. It's insane that. I want to make sure everybody knows about Taskade. It's really my go-to tool for most things. Whether not necessarily, I'm not really big on productivity. I know that's what you guys talk about a lot, but I guess it kind of is, because it does so much for you that you used to have to do, right? So it's just a go-to tool for me now, and the use cases that I see are just like things that I would never think of, but it's because the tool is so robust and so malleable that you can use it for virtually whatever you're trying to do. I know a lot of people use it business wise, but even as a personal tool, it's pretty cool. Like keeping track of a personal schedule and sending emails on your behalf, forwarding emails here and there, and all kinds of stuff. It's fun. I don't know how you guys got there, but I like where you went.
Yeah, I mean, I think
project management tools. I worked in IT. I worked in like software and IT project management for 15 years, and I've used Jira and Trello and Azure DevOps and every tool you can imagine. And it's like I hate them all. But you guys took it and ran with it and turned it into something really cool. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think the part that to your point is that we don't have the baggage than maybe some of the bigger players in the space had, because if they have 1,000 enterprise clients, it's hard for them to move. It's hard for them to make changes and make pivots.
It's impossible. If you want to switch from Azure DevOps to Jira, it takes an act of Congress, 6 months of training, and it's virtually impossible. Big ships do move very slow. It's some companies out there, some big companies that are worth a lot of money, are using the best tech stack of 2005.
Yeah, and I think from our side too, because the culture and I guess how we started, it wasn't a top-down play or really going after larger organizations, but helping the business owners, the agencies, the contractor consultants, and people within larger orgs, like smaller teams, right, be more efficient. We never really thought about optimizing the platform for seats or like getting your whole org on board. So I guess once the AI kind of evolution happened within Taskade with the agents, the more we think about what is human AI collaboration, it's almost thinking of the Taskade workspace as like your management layer for your agents and automation, because I think a lot of people don't know this. We talk about this on how you train the agents, how you make it better, like become a scrum master, right? When you were talking about agile, it depends on what you feed the agents. But people don't realize is that they can bring their AI agents outside of Taskade, right? And the eventual goal is to not just embed it and iframe it, but let you customize the widgets and actually perform actions anywhere you embed it and take it, depending on the access you give it. Similarly, the automation layer within Taskade does not require Taskade as a step, right? So it's not that we want you to force you to use Taskade for project management or the tables and custom fields. You can 100% do your flows and automation without Taskade in the step at all, but just use every tool and every piece that we give you. So
look at the state of software for form builders alone, right? Like some of the big players, Typeform and Google Forms, and there's some out there. But what is it? It's like there's some short text boxes, there's some long text boxes, a couple toggles, but you can do all that with Taskade. But like there's a back end engine of an AI agent that's doing something with specific fields of that information, and you can use it for so much more than just collecting data in a form. You can literally use that data. You can automate your onboarding with a Taskade form. I've done it. I promise you, I've done it. You write the correct fields. If you know what questions you're going to ask someone in an onboarding session anyway, ask them that in a form. And then what are you going to do with that information once you ask them that question? Well, just make an agent do that for you. There's a lot of companies out there that talk about scaling, and they talk about growth, and they talk about, and there's a lot of ads out there for how many appointments they'll book you in a month. There's a lot of that. And I think a lot of people get in trouble because they go after that, and then all of a sudden they got to figure out how they're going to onboard 50 new clients. Well, you're not going to meet with them. That's not happening. They'll churn before you even fulfill their service. Having a form like that you can build with Taskade and to automate their onboarding is ridiculously simple, and it's plug and play. Like just shoot them a link to your form. They fill out all the fields. It does whatever you need it to do with the information, and shoots it wherever you need it to go, and you're done, man. It's pretty easy for onboarding. It's my favorite onboarding tool.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most kind of hidden functionalities within Taskade right now. But yeah, just quickly jumping on, I think there's quite a few questions. I think we'll just go through them at the end, maybe, or like but feel free to ask away at the moment. But yeah, even Jeremy, when you talk about that, if you want to really make it useful to share this AI form, it's a trigger within our automation. And the funny thing is, originally we want to call it an AI app. And this is something we might still do because it is a lot more than just a form, even though the form submission is like the process that triggers the automation flow, correct? And similarly, we have an agent trigger that can trigger the automation flow. So there's actually things that's already there, but not super obvious to the folks coming into Taskade. And that could be just one step away from just connecting those with the agent generator or with the project generator and getting that together. But also bundling it, right? As a community, as a creator, or someone that has the solution in place, could really connect those dots. But yeah, what do you think though? However, when it comes to the forms, because funny thing is, I have a use case from Narek too, where there are people using Taskade AI to actually do like sentiment analysis, categorization with AI, prioritization, and then the way that they were doing it is super manual, right? Within the automation today, because we do support agents that understands your company knowledge or whatever data sources you feed it. It could be live data sources too, so we constantly fetch it, right? Or Taskade projects, but they would use that agents to analyze data, score leads and responses, and then turn that into structured outputs, and then do the whole flow. And at the end, they can create a project, create a task within Taskade, or send them an email, or branch it and do like 3 things at once. When you think about that, do you think this kind of functionality with an agent and structured output, would it help to turn that into like an actual category, like categorize with AI? Here's the different use cases and actions as steps too.
I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of like call for that or asking of that. Maybe that's a good route to go. Your original questions was about forms, like how to update forms, right? So yeah. The only thing, honestly, I like how it works. You're always adding more triggers. You're always adding more, what do you call them, steps, I guess, like after the trigger. Yeah. There's always, like, every time I go to build something, it looks like there's another one down, like the scroll says either coming soon or new or whatever. But the only thing about the form specific, I think, would be, since an AI agent is in the background doing some things, in that form, I would like to see more field types. I know as simple as that is, right? But if there's like an address type, right? Well, that needs to be handled differently than a regular long text or short text, because you're probably going to do something different with it because of what it is, right? So numbers, maybe like dollars also, because you can use it, like you can build like a calculator with the forms. So if there were some different, more field types, I think it would probably help the AI on the back end understand what to do with that information, even though like you give it value, right? But like if it knew it was in dollars and cents, some people probably, if I'm going to fill out a field that says $50, do I put the dollar sign? Do I just type a 50? Do I put 50.00? Do I put 50.00 like they do in some countries? Like it could be many different things for the same thing. I think more that would help with the stuff on the back end. I had a couple questions coming in. I want to make sure this was a pretty good one. Could you expand on the agent triggers a bit more, and what the layer that bridges the actions of the agent to the words of the model?
Yeah, so happy to maybe do a quick screen sharing as well to just explain that. 1 second.
That must mean you got all your tabs closed.
Let me see. Can I share the screen? Yeah, first time using this. Again, definitely want to do this more often. Windows. Ooh, where did it go? Okay, maybe just start with the question. So the way that we thought about the agents and the tools is that initially, we had commands, correct? And commands are a bit at the moment like glorify, long prompts, but they are going to become better and better in terms of how you can connect them and whatnot. But when you think about tools, the things that everyone think about are things, that are web search related or web scraping, page scraping related, as well as what we really ended up doing is the ability to call actions within Taskade, right? So connecting it with your projects, your workspaces, and continue to expand on that. But how do you connect your agents and give it permission and access control, right, to your Slack, to your Gmail, to other tools that you use, whether it's to grab information or maybe to post information outside of it? And that's where the original concept came about. So you could add tools manually, and you can do that one by one through different actions and enable it. But at the same time, what if you wanted to have the tool call like entire flow, right? That includes the tools that you use within the step. So that's where I think we need to break that out, because tools right now is what it is, but actually triggering a workflow based on an agent, command or action, or something you just, want people to do within your agents, that probably is something that we should really configure a bit separately, but you can already do that today.
There was a question about like what AI. I don't want to say understand. I'll just read it in its entirety. Working with clients, I was trying. It's too Shlomo says that it's too complicated for some of his clients. Found it overwhelming. They don't know how to imagine the possibilities. Is there an issue there? How do I reword that? How do I ask my question off that? What level of AI knowledge would someone need? What would you call this, an entry level software? What kind of knowledge should I use if I'm going to sign up for Taskade? Or what kind of knowledge should I have when I sign up for Taskade?
Yeah, I think this goes back to kind of the entry point, right, that we discussed. So on the one hand, we consider everyone today also, early adopters of AI, LLMs, but also agentic workflows, right? Because it's not about just training an AI or GPT or agent with knowledge. It's about letting the agents actually perform a flow to help you, complete repetitive tasks, but also move beyond just repetitive tasks. So there is definitely some level of complexity and configuration. The goal right now for us is, again, to complete the functionalities, right, and build out the system, the framework. And that was largely the past year plus, that the agents, the automation, and the project management, right, the core workspace layer all got completed. Now, how can we simplify that? I think the first thing is to go back to the UI, the UX, improve the navigation, make it easier to organize your agents and automations top level, right? To see an overview of everything running and what is being done. But on the other hand, make it easier for you to also share your setup, right? Your Taskade workspace, your Taskade setup, so that if the entry point for someone coming into the product isn't one where they have to generate a project with agent mode or generate that automation and figure things out, but they can just click a link and it deploys into their Taskade workspace with everything configured for their operations, right? Whether it's, like you mentioned, collecting leads and forms, analyzing, scoring, or to even just do content moderation even. So these type of use cases are kind of specialized, but someone setting it up with some knowledge of Taskade and sharing that as a bundle, as a Taskade kit, is something that we want to double down on. And then that leads to the ability for a community, right, to actually come onto Taskade, whether it's a marketplace or community that's open. The kits will not just be a single project template or a single agent template or single automation flow, right? Because those are all done, and it's about connecting those cohesively into a single link created by Jeremy or created by Narek. I think that would be very powerful. But to answer your question, I think there's definitely some levels of learning curve right now. But our goal is still to really make it friendly, user-friendly, and no code, right, as much as possible. And compared to the competitors out there that's doing, even half of what we're trying to do right now, I think from a product perspective, there's even exponentially more complex products out there. So we're definitely aiming for it to become simpler and even more user-friendly. So, but it is true, making things simple is the ultimate form of sophistication. That was a quote I remember from a long time ago, but it's also very difficult to actually compress everything, right, and make it even easier. Yeah, hopefully we can get the community to do more of that.
I think the part of that issue is systemic. I see it a lot, Shlomo, Sam. People, when you're building a tool that your client is going to use, right? I'm not talking about clients of Taskade. I'm talking about me as a business owner. If I'm building something that my clients are going to use, well, one, if they hired me to build this for them or to teach them how to use this, one, I should have a higher level of knowledge about it than they do. That's common. The thing that a lot of people miss out on is if the system works for you but not your client, it's not a good system, right? Mm-hmm. So if you need them to use a form, it needs to be as simple as possible. Like I had a drill sergeant in the Army who used to say, "Do I have to write it in crayon for you?" Write it in crayon for them, right? You have to. Assume they know nothing. Say, here's your form, fill out these answers and click submit. It's going to load. Don't worry about that. Just don't close the tab until it says completed. Thank you, whatever, like make it as simple as possible for them. If they need to use an AI agent, either embed it or give them a link to it. Just make it as simple as possible for them and then be able to do everything on the back end.
Yeah. Do you see my screen right now? That's I'm sharing.
I do.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I think one thing that, we talked about is like the entry point, correct? And there's a lot of people that come to Taskade and this is what they see because that's what we have today. You're able to deploy an AI agent and generate it depending on task. You're able to generate a project. You're also able to, import a file and convert that into a project or URL. But definitely what's missing right now here is ability to generate an automation, right? Because that's its own tab. And we already have the functionality. We don't really tell you about it here. We expect you to do that more advanced user. But the best case scenario is having a single one-shot prompt that you describe your problem that can also connect all of those together. So it would generate the kit and the bundle for you, right? But it wouldn't be as good as someone that really personalizes it or trains it or makes it very specific, but at least it'll get you started with everything you need within the
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, based on what you can tell it about you and your company or whatever I'm assuming most people are using it for business, right? But yeah, absolutely. It's Tio asked a good question about comparing bundles to like GHL snapshots. I would it gets you a head start, right? Like the snapshot. I wouldn't say like a snapshot or even a bundle would get you 100% of the way there, but if it can get you on the green and you're putting, then you're in a better position than you were back in the tee box, right? So it can get you pretty far, but you'd still want to have to edit things and change things around, just like you would in the GHL snapshot. If you're not familiar with GHL, that's a tool called Go High Level, and they have what's called a snapshot. They might have different types of business. Let's say you own a chiropractic office and you sign up for Go High Level. They probably have a snapshot for chiropractor offices, so they have like template websites and like template like call flows and things like that as well. But yeah, it's very similar to, now that I think about it even more, because you're setting so many of those things up ahead of time, and then you're just more or less copy pasting it from workspace to workspace. If you have similar type of clients or similar situations where you would need that bundle. That's a really good analogy.
And I think you mentioned last time too, if you train an agent and you want to share the knowledge with folks as well, that becomes something that you really spend time and curate it on, right? And it's something that is a lot of value that you cannot just generate with onboarding in Taskade.
That's where I see the future of AI going, John. Like, it was AI and there was prompting, and then we had people calling themselves prompt engineers, right? And then last year was the year of the AI agent. The thing is, like, I think curating knowledge bases for AI agents is where more people need to focus, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I type in a prompt, you are a sales manager, your job is to write sales scripts and sales flows and whatever, and I prompt it that way, all great, fine and dandy. Or you take some of the best sales books, you take templates, you take all these different file types and documents and train your AI agent based on that information specific. Your website, your offer, your client's website. It's like, here's my client's website and here's my offer. Rewrite my offer so that it's ideal to my client. Like, give it that information and it makes it so much better.
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Do you see it, by the way?
Yep, you're in the edit.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I think two things just to go over quickly based on before. So since we're talking about knowledge right now, I'll just start from here. But a lot of the stuff that you mentioned as well, how you train your agent really matters. But we also give actually a lot of options for you to do so, right? Because you can actually add projects from your workspace as one. And these are dynamically trained, always in sync in real time. And this could be your task list, your tables, your docs, right, your notes, fed into Taskade's workspace. And you can keep those updated as well, right, through automations and flows. You can also upload files, the usual, right, CSV, docs, PPTs, all kind of formats. And of course, you have links and YouTube. And the links are actually dynamically trained. So we refetch it, I think right now, every 15 minutes. You cannot configure it, but we actually do refetch it and look for changes once you activate the agent. And of course, importing and so on and so forth. But one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is if you actually set up an automation, you can have an action that adds knowledge into your agents from different sources. So different triggers, whether it's an AI form trigger within Taskade or sources coming from other tools, you can actually pipe them also into your agent as knowledge as one of the steps, or the last step even, right? So that's kind of interesting. But on the tool side, we talked about Taskade actions, scrape and search and all of these. And then you have a lot that we give you as well, right? And these are individual kind of actions that you can enable for your agent. But when we say something like new tool here, it's actually kind of underselling this functionality, because new tool here, when you click on it, you actually go into an automation flow that triggers and is connected to this agent. And from here on, you can set up an entire step, right? Whether it's conditions and logic based, or whether it's just like a single, one shot, right, straight down to the path. That can be called by your agent, within all of the different tools and steps that you add. So I think that's one that, again, is a bit more advanced. And we also didn't split it up, right? We didn't split it up from the tools tab, because actually it probably belongs in automation tab itself, or I'll call it workflows, because right now this is more just a templates and ideas. Yeah, so I hope that helps answer the question a bit.
So I want you to know, with looking at the CEO's screen, I got a side by side with my tools and my AI agents. What's a new deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely a lot of different different things that we want to do to promote Taskade and get the community on. But
that's a trigger that you built. Call it new deal.
Yeah. But it also could be ones that's like CRM or sales teams and just trying different things out. But but yeah, when you think about tools in the traditional sense for agents, it is actually not what we have here. It's actually a custom flow, right, or a custom workflow that you can build for the agents. So we might need to break that out. But this
or maybe rename it, because
yeah.
like I don't know that I would instantly or instinctively realize that tools or add tool was automations, right? So I don't know. That's pretty cool though that you can. So then you would just tell. So does it understand the name? Whatever I name it, so I could say I could tell it to run new deal.
Yes, exactly. And this goes back to maybe we need to connect this to the command level, right? And make it so that you have commands that are click based or 100% connected to a certain flow automation, so that whether it's you or your team members or your clients, so on and so forth, they're able to interact with it, and then it reliably calls that flow, right? That's running in your background. So that is something we can do, and it's just about similar to bundles and kits, which I have put up here. It's about wiring things up and connecting the dots. But to tie back to the bundles and kits, in order for this agent tool to work, it is an actual automation, right, connected to the agent. You have to be able to share this as a bundle or a Taskade kit. We have not launched this really to the public. We did have a teaser for it, but you can kind of test it out right now in the drop down for your workspace. Whether you go to edit, well, actually no, this one. Sorry, this drop down, and then you go to bundles. And from here, you can kind of get an idea of what's possible for creating a bundle. But the UI and how you can configure it, this has to be reworked a lot. The point is that you can choose different automations, agents, projects, even templates, and then you can connect that together into a single link. You can brand it maybe with your own company logo, your profile, your emails, write a description for it, share it, have different backgrounds, right, so on and so forth. And then you just click on share, and then we give you a single link, and then you just send that to your clients and your audience.
That's incredible. There's some being built in the Taskade Discord group. Narc and I have Narc made a couple channels where people could post like automation templates and an AI agent templates. And Narc, I think you have one for bundles. If not, maybe we should build one. But really cool as far as what you can build in there.
Yeah, super excited.
I won't ask you what the automation WTF is.
Oh, but I think a lot of what we put together is at the end of the day just to make it easier, right, and more fun as well, to put things together so that you can actually share it with the public. So things that we do want to improve on, so CNAME, right, ability to share with your own domain name, your own branding, whether it's an agent, we have some of these customizations to the AI forms. That one is very limited right now. To the bundle, we definitely want to unify that system. So anything you share, you can actually brand it as well.
Are there template bundles yet, or is that something that's going to happen?
Not yet, but actually, if you think about it, you can also just do so with a kit, right? Because you can put those together in a single link.
I think I missed something. What's the difference between a kit and a bundle?
So internally, we call it Taskade Bundle, but I think the easier name to understand is Taskade Kit. So it's the same thing. Yeah.
Okay. Because we're seeing it as bundle on our end. So I was wondering.
Yes. Needs to rename that. That's has not fully released. But
nobody pay attention to that. Don't look.
The concept is is that you can share the kits, and then it bundles everything together. I think it's easier to call it a kit. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, pretty neat. Is that the big? I got a question. Is that the big thing going forward? Bundles? Is that the primary focus? Is that the?
Yeah.
Is there something bigger? Is there something bigger coming?
Yeah, I think we wrote about the last newsletter when we had the loops for automation, different integrations, as well new agent features. But we also wrote about the 2024 review for Taskade, and one of the things is community, right? So when it comes to community, it's important to let everyone kind of create their own systems within Taskade and share their own system setups. So that is a big bet for 2025. The other one is, again, the task within Taskade. How can we make it more intelligent? I don't want to call it AGI or intelligent in that sense, and I think in many ways we don't like to overhype things, right, and just focus on functionality use cases. But we actually already have flags, right, where you can set up actions and tools in Taskade, and you can choose human in the loop as in approval required, or you can just make it autonomous and run its own. So that's another area that we want to really focus on. Just make the agent smarter and give you more abilities to let things run reliably on its own. And have the agents run, again, 24/7 in the background with the automations, with the flows, right? Because right now, you can actually have as many concurrent automations as you like, and you can actually embed as many agents as you like as well across your websites, your dashboards, externally, internally. So if you think of it this way, everything is already in place for that. But how do you make it even easier to set up and run on so without human approval or without human intervention, right? To process something or to complete something as a task or flow.
Yeah, it's I recently I had a client that uses Miro, like a large whiteboard for everything, right? I was embedding agents there, like we were talking about, like different departments. Like, here's the agent that I built for that thing, right? Like, here's the and then I just embed it in the Miro board. Not even a link, I just embedded it straight into the board so they could use the agent in Miro. It's pretty neat, right? Like, you can just throw it wherever you want. And I think that was a fun, you can embed it like in a dock or whatever too, or anywhere that you can put an iframe. But it was pretty fun putting it in a Miro board so that, like, the thing that we're talking about, like, people could literally ask questions on it while we're working on it. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think to touch back a little bit too, on the roadmap and what's big in 2025. Touching back on the task within Taskade, can we actually create our own system and even have a real task OS, right, going forward, where agents, again, can have autonomy, connecting it with your orchestration automation layers, and going with the phases. So like phase 1 is more like enhanced execution task, and then phase 2 is more decision making. Phase 3 could be like full autonomy, and just let it do its thing, depending on whatever parameters you set. So those are things that we're definitely thinking about. On the other hand, for agents' knowledge and the memory layer of AI agents within Taskade, that is something that we want to make more dynamic, more real time, and give you more options to ingest data, right, across different places, and convert any unstructured data into structured information through your agents' training and knowledge. So those are definitely two big ones. And then for automation, the last thing, definitely understanding the customer use cases and pulling some of these advanced features out into its own to simplify it with like presets or use cases as an action, I think will help a lot. Hence why I mentioned like categorize with AI, or making that its own functionality that you can look at the different actions underneath that. So these are all things that we think about.
So one thing that you guys released last year that I thought was really cool, but I don't see a lot of people talking about it, is AI agent teams. Could you kind of touch base on agent teams? Like, how would I use? Why would I use that? When would I use that? What can I do with that? I understand these are vague questions, right? Because we're talking about multiple AI agents, so like they can literally be anything. Why would I use AI teams?
Man, we can talk about this for like hours. But I think
let's pick any random scenario, like a sales team. Maybe they have a couple different positions.
Well, I mean, let's start from the beginning, right? Let's start from the beginning, because when we started the AI pivot with Taskade, we talked about things that are more command driven, that's simpler to understand. But one of the things that kind of resonated was, you can actually have a roundtable command that calls different personas and roles and give you perspectives in a single shot, right? And help you make decisions better. And that was kind of the original inspiration, right, for the multi-agent AI teams kind of feature and functionality, so that you can build your own group chat in a sense. But the group chat is not just one where you're talking to different AI. You can actually get different perspectives because each of them have its own training and data. But also, we actually built in a delegator and multi-agent framework so that you can also choose who's the best person for the job and say, I only want one single answer, and I want the one that can actually perform this task based on the group of agents that I have within my workspace. So these two things are in place, but I think what we didn't do or have not done yet is connect that with your automation or within your workflow in a way that is easy to understand, right, and set up. So that's something that,
Well, with automations, you can have different steps that are commands for different agents, so you can kind of do it now, right? Here's a question I've always wondered about AI teams, because even myself, right, I don't play around with it a lot. Do they read what the other ones? Do they read each other's inputs also, or just my commands, or just what I say?
Yes, they do. So actually, that's the part that, again, I think
that's where I think the value is, right? Like
yeah,
that's instead of just having different agents open, like that, like yeah.
and but this goes back to, I think, what we just said before too, where, do I really need to create an AI team or AI agent team for this to be useful? Because the core technology and the core use case that we built is the delegator system, or the way that it's able to choose the best agent for the task. And in that sense, that itself could be a step, right, within your automation or flow. It's like, hey,
Yeah,
pick the best agent and then run the agent command, not
absolutely.
just me choosing, who to call it, and not require me to put together all my agents, but just automatically choose based on the ones in my workspace,
Oh,
right?
that'd be
That could be
beautiful,
very
right?
interesting.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, because like a form, right? Like if let's say you sell multiple products and you have 3 products and you have an agent that's does calculators and knows all about one agent for each product, let's say, right? Like, well, when you receive an email, like read the email, figure out who the best one to reply to it is, and then have that one reply. That's a great use case.
Yeah, and to answer, because Narek is in chat right now, but uh, to use agents to also, again, generate structured outputs for categorizations, different use cases, right? It's possible right now, and it's actually very useful. But taking a step out and actually introducing presets as an action, I think it will just make it a lot easier for folks to kind of understand coming into the product. So that's definitely one to think about. But I think otherwise, there's a lot that I think we have on the 2025 roadmap. Open to any other questions or feedback here, but I think I saw a few asking about, even in a private chat, we have folks asking about connecting Taskade with more blockchain related crypto as a crypto dev tools, because I know agents are very popular and growing popularity in that space. This is something we haven't thought about yet, but the way that we've set out the framework of Taskade, and we just opened up our APIs, right, in the past year, is that hopefully there's a way for people to build on top of our system as well, whether it's introducing new integrations, right, within the automations and agents, or even configuring them as a bundle or a Taskade kit, and then using custom APIs within the tools, or custom HTTP requests and webhooks within the automations. And then maybe once we see popularity within those, then we actually add that officially, right, into the Taskade system. So those are definitely things we're thinking about. Well, I'm getting notifications.
The other thing that we haven't touched on that I'm seeing a lot of in the chat is about like content about like how to's, right? I think that's part of the reason why I'm here. I'm starting to make more videos about using Taskade. I'll be putting those on YouTube. Talk with John about it. My issue's been there's so many things you can do with it, right? So who's interested in seeing that video? And and like, so I could, it could be very esoteric, it could be very specific to like one type of thing, and 99% of people won't care about it, right? Like, so I would love some suggestions, love some ideas. If we have a way to collect those, that would be awesome. I could just start knocking them off a checklist of how we could do different things. But more content is coming. I can promise you that.
Yeah, I mean, we want to grow the community together in the sense that, empower everyone and kind of be open about it, calling us Taskaders. It's kind of funny, but there's the, Facebook groups that's definitely very active. But when you think about in the age of LLMs, like Reddit, the official subreddit for Taskade as well. So if you post a link there and post your setup there, whether it's a link to a video or like a self post, I think would do a lot better, describing what you do, and then link to your YouTube, link to your websites, link to any information you're more than welcome to as well, and share on that. And hopefully, in 2025, we make it so that you can officially also post to the community, whether we call it like Taskade / like marketplace, or a way that you can just publish, right, to the community your setups with profiles and so on. That would be definitely
that would be fun. Like AI agents that were built by so on and so forth, AI automations. Back to not having to reinvent the wheel, because chances are somebody's already built it, right? Or at least gotten pretty close, and you can maybe curated a knowledge base for you. That takes time. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think on our YouTube channel too, it has been more product updates related. We'll definitely want to do more use case videos, or maybe call it Taskade blueprints, and just dive deeper into it. So anyone wants to contribute, would love to also do stuff together. Yeah, including Jeremy on your side too. But on also the content for Help Center, right? The support documentation, the articles. We are always looking for improvements on that, which is help.taskade.com. So let us know any ideas and things we can do to improve that. Yeah, and the last thing is the feedback forum. We do have forum.taskade.com that you can upvote features, leave comments, request new things, report bugs. There are quite a few thousands of things in there right now that's open, but we try our best, to get through them. And I think sometimes what you end up seeing is there's patterns, right? There are commonalities within different requests, and then we try to merge that also into one so that we can tackle it. But definitely 2025, a lot of it is going to be around empowering the customers, the users, the Taskade community to also share the use cases, share the setups, the systems, and then improve also the existing functionalities and make it easier. So yeah, I think maybe we'll leave it at that. Anything else here? I have a few on-red notifications. I'm not sure what this is. Let me see. Cool. But yeah, thanks everyone. Jeremy, do you have anything else you want to share, or?
No, if you can imagine it, you can build it, right? Like, now you know, right? Like,
that's great.
You know what? Try things, make mistakes, and every time you make a mistake, you get even closer, right? So try things out. If you think you can make something in Taskade, try it out.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, happy New Year again, everyone. Feel free to always ping us. My personal email is just john@taskade.com, JOHN. And then, we also are on social media everywhere, Taskade. Feel free to follow, and see you guys next week. I'm not as active on Telegram, but I'll try my best but I am in it. So yeah, thanks everyone. Yeah, okay. Yeah, feel free to message me. But email is best, john@taskade.com. Yeah, cool.
I'll DM you later.